for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk.
You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about how BioWare sometimes fails us. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
We go along with Sebastian to meet Sister Nightingale, but instead we're attacked by blood mages. Who knew this would happen? Two more appear, ready to attack, but a mysterious figure appears and strikes them down. She reveals herself to be the famed Bard of Orlais, Leliana, allied to the hero of Ferelden. She also reveals that Resolutionists, a group of mages dedicated to freedom from the Chantry through violent means, are possibly influencing the unrest in Kirkwall. Leliana reveals that the Divine in Orlais may take serious action.
Yay.
And go.
Yeah, right? I love how you open this with sometimes BioWare fails us. I hate to be that person, but like looking at their track record from this perspective, like from how like Anthem, some of the other big failures, it's like, it might be more than sometimes now.
It might be more than sometimes. You are correct.
Yeah, like even as an Andromeda lover and as a Veilguard lover, like between Anthem and how Andromeda and Veilguard were handled and how they were received, it's like, even with us being more favorable, liking the things that most people like less, it's still not a great track record.
Look.
Now, anyway.
I was just trying to be nice.
I know. Yeah.
I was trying to be not the meanest I could have been.
Look, we have a love-hate relationship with one of our favorite studios. I feel like that's how that goes.
I think at this point it might be an abusive relationship.
Yeah, could be.
I think we should seek help.
I mean, to be fair, not all of it is their fault. There is some shenanigans from EA that has caused a lot of the problems too. Like how at one point Veilguard was going to have like a multiplayer game. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to Veilguard.
I do want to emphasize that I am not being flippant about abusive relationships.
Yeah, correct.
I am saying this because I know the signs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been there.
Yeah, revisiting the past, analyzing the past over and over again.
My head hurts.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about this.
Yeah, this is going to be a short episode. I whenever I say that, it's the kiss of death, because then we still go for 40 minutes. But yeah,
I'll always find something for us to talk about.
Yeah, but this is a nothing burger of a mission. The biggest nothing burger, I think, of the whole run of companion missions. Though as we mentioned, Leliana is in this, which I'd forgotten about. Or it's possible Leliana didn't survive my first playthrough. Because I recall when we talked about the first game, depending on your timing, you can lose her when the town is destroyed. Yeah. And I think there's a chance I didn't get her that playthrough, and so didn't get this cutscene, since I've only played Dragon Age 2 once all the way through. So I'm not sure. But either way, it was a fun surprise, especially since she's my girlfriend and I miss her. It seemed like she talked about the hero Ferelden lovingly when I talked to her, but that might just be the kind of bubbly personality that she has more than anything else.
I mean, if you imported your world state, then...
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm getting ahead of us. So we grab Sebastian and go to the throne room. The funniest thing about going to the Viscount's Keep and the throne room is that when you get to the actual throne room itself, it's locked. And I clicked on it 3 times, and so every time Sebastian kept saying, I can help you with that. I was like, shut up, Sebastian.
Yeah, because he's a rogue.
Right. And then eventually I went to click on, so this is funny. I went to click on the profile that I thought was his, but it was actually Anders, because in their little square profile pictures, two white boys look exactly the same. I know they're not.
One's blonde, one's kind of auburn-y.
Yeah, and so I clicked on who was Anders. I kept clicking the door, and Sebastian's still going, I can help you with that. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, wrong character. And then I got in.
I took Rogue Squad entirely.
Yeah, my team was Sebastian, Meryl, and Anders because, as I've said before, and as we always say, if you bring your partner with you, it's always a date. Also, Otis has been tanking very well. Like, seriously, especially since both Meryl and I both went down the nature tree. So we both have stone armor and, like, AoE spells. And so, like, we're pretty impervious. Also, it was very funny because when I opened the door, because it was me, Meryl, Anders, and Sebastian, we're all ranged characters. So literally, I opened the door and no one moved. We just started attacking, which was fun to see.
How did this play out for you being a mage?
So not very different. Like, so the fight happens, we fight, Liliana shows up, starts to talk about what's going on, and, like, I don't get any extra dialogue options.
Okay.
But the comment that Anders makes, I get as well. But, like, I have no special responses here as a mage, which is surprising because usually I do.
Yeah. So, essentially what happens, we enter the Viscount's Keep, we go to the throne room, we need a rogue to pick the lock. We enter, we see some mages, they say, even the divine fears us now. As she should, kill the spies! And I'm like, y'all.
Can we just talk? Every problem in this video game would be solved if people took 2 more seconds to have a conversation. There'd be no conflict.
I mean, maybe not with this specific group, because they're labeled as blood mages.
But still.
I agree with you 100%. I feel like you could have stopped for a second and been like, but wait. Especially with your group, like, you're all mages.
Yeah. I mean, literally,
cool?
my group was all mages and Sebastian.
Like, are you cool?
Yeah, right?
Are you a cop?
Yeah.
Tell me if you're a cop.
Yeah, you're allowed. Legally, you have to tell me.
But, like, not even, no hesitation.
Nope.
I can't be like, but my husband is a mage.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
They just go in for it. And it's a fast fight.
Yeah.
Like,
nope, it's not a boss fight, just regular combat.
Yeah, and Liliana looks cool as hell.
Yeah.
Let's say that, at least.
For sure. Best part of the whole mission.
Terrifying blue eyes.
Yep.
They're so blue.
So blue.
She does show up. She takes out the 2 mages that were contemplating getting into the fight. And then she, like, lore dumps on us and leaves.
Yeah. I should clarify, because I did say earlier that that's my girlfriend, Liliana, is that I've done multiple playthroughs of the first game, and I did romance her pretty early on. Just in the most recent playthrough for Reignite, obviously my boyfriend is Zevran, but, you know, you got to keep options open. I know. These games don't allow for that, unfortunately.
It solves every problem. Yeah, she just info dumps on us, and she's like, resolutionist, interesting. And I can be like,
Who?
Okay.
Sure.
Tell me what that is, I guess.
Yeah, and then, literally lore dumps on us and then leaves. Like, doesn't offer to help, doesn't stick around, just goes.
Like, no, like, give me a reason why we shouldn't march on Kirkwall to handle the mages.
Yeah, it's a bummer, and I think it shows a glaring issue with this game specifically, and I think a problem in the series as a whole, because you're not tied to one specific hero the whole time. A lot of the cameos feel just like that, like series cameos, and like I appreciate having them, but this is reminiscent of the Anders cameo as well. Like, it's cool that Alistair shows up as a Grey Warden with your sibling if you choose that path, but like, it's there, brief conversation, moves on, right? Like, that's every cameo in this game. Like, at least I will say with Zevran, when Zevran shows up, you encounter him, have a conversation, go off, and then he shows up to help you in a fight later. It follows the full arc of that short mission, at least. So, like, he has something to do. That's, I think, one of the better ones. But, like, Alistair and now here with Liliana, it just feels kind of ham-fisted, like, oh, we got to fill in the gap with a character, let's just use one of the older characters. Again, rather have them than not, but it does feel a little like afterthought-ish.
I didn't hate the Alistair one so much because there is a through line for Alistair in that position.
That's true. You're right.
So I don't hate that as much.
That's true. You're right.
But without the meta knowledge of Inquisition,
yeah,
you're right. It feels very like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking just about this game because there are through lines and payoffs. Like, I have complaints about how the third game handles a bunch of our companions from this game. But again, there's a through line to Veilguard. I won't spoil who or what, right? But even then, like when we get to Veilguard 3 years from now, that character showing up again, it's awesome to see them, but it also feels like, why? You know? And so, like, that's my biggest complaint about this series, and it's on full display here with Liliana's cameo, is they feel like cameos for the sake of it. Whereas at least, not to keep calling it back to our favorite child, but like at least in Mass Effect throughout the trilogy, because it was designed as a trilogy, the character cameos feel more important and have more weight. Yeah. Like stuff like a perfect example is Captain Kirrahe in the third game, right? If you still have him around, he's in that mission and that's it. But like it has that weight because of how important he was in the first game and how they wrote that mission, right?
Yeah.
I just don't.
He actually shows up and does something that impacts the story.
Correct.
That's what it lacks.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be an impact. This has no impact.
Yeah. And that's the biggest bummer. I think, and we'll get to it when we get to Inquisition, some of the stuff they do with, especially since Varric is a party member in that one, I won't go much further than that. There are connections that feel stronger in the third game because of how they design it, the way they bring characters back. And that, again, adds impact to these character moments here. But I think standalone, just this game, they feel kind of not, like, just kind of a throwaway a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. And this absolutely feels like a throwaway. We get this conversation with Liliana that concludes with, well, tell Althena that she should probably leave town because we're definitely going to send some soldiers here to murder every mage. Bye.
Yeah. Which, again, also the reason it feels like an afterthought is because my mage character that I'm playing as doesn't get to say something here. Whereas in almost every other conversation that's focused on mages before Anders spews some kind of sarcastic response, I also get to say something. But here, that doesn't happen. I'm literally, as you pointed out, and it didn't occur to me, a team of all mages besides Sebastian. Nobody gets to say something except for Anders. Now, statistically speaking, Anders will likely always be with you because he's the only healer in the entire game. But that said, all of the other characters in my party should have had something to say, and we didn't. And that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Let's hop over to the Chantry where we talk to Althena.
Ugh.
Yeah, right?
Like,
that encapsulates my entire feelings about this section. No more details needed.
Yeah, like, I mean it when I say that genuinely I do like Althena as a character because of how she makes me feel. I think good characters make you feel frustrated. Oh, yeah. But, like,
a good character and a good person are not equitable.
Right, and the fact, like, in the shoes of Hawke, I just want to drop kick her, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a terrible person.
Yeah.
She's an excellent narrative foil because she basically stands in the way of things being improved because she refuses to do anything. And the thing that makes me extremely angry with her during this conversation is that as we're talking to her, Sebastian really pushes her to leave for her safety, which I personally can take or leave. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. If you want to go, you should go. Like, you shouldn't feel like you have to stay here and die, especially if that's a possibility. Like, you should actually take as many civilians with you as possible. You should take your flock with you. That is actually what you should do. You should evacuate the city. But no, she refuses to leave. She has this big line There is no greater devotion than to lay one's life at the Maker's feet. There is no better death than to take the blow for another. And then she follows up with, I must make peace if there is to be war. And I'm just like, I have been begging you to make peace between the Templars and the Mages. I have been begging you to step up and rein the Templars in. And you absolutely refuse because, oh, they have to figure it out on their own. What?
Yeah, it's...
I'm so angry that I'm speechless.
Yeah, I think that this character, it's like, and like, look, love or hate Sebastian, him pressuring her to leave totally makes sense, right? He is a very chivalrous character. And he's so like,
he's young, he's dedicated to her. She's like the closest thing to a relative that he has right now.
Yeah, and like, again, this is why I think ultimately I do like this character, even if he is a frustrating character that I don't always agree with, because of, he's for one very charming, but B, he is very much like a character who knows where he stands and at least lives by his own convictions very strongly. He doesn't really question his own actions, except when he's questioning whether he should be king or not, but that's another thing. But like, the way this goes, it's just like, I basically want to pick her up by her ankles and fling her out of the city. Like, I just, why won't you, the inability.
You were useless as a person, Elthina.
Yeah, the inability to move or take action makes me want to drop kick her.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I understand you feeling that Sebastian is fine. I cannot be there with you.
I get it. It's fine.
He gives me nothing as a character. Like, if I met him in person, I'd probably like give him the side eye a lot.
Yeah.
And just be like, okay, you can be the token straight guy that hangs out in my group. That's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I think we've talked about it. They're also setting a poor example when we have characters like Shale from the first game, who are way more well-developed as a DLC character and have more to offer. And I'll even say when we get to one of the DLC missions, the main character who's in your party from that DLC mission, who's only in that mission, she is way more developed than Sebastian is. So I see your point, and I take it. I think I'm more favorable on the second playthrough because I'm more focused on paying attention to a lot more detail. It doesn't excuse the fact that he's kind of just an add-on that has no real... This mission is a perfect example. It's like a nothing burger of a mission.
Yeah. I also I romanced him once because I was curious. It was a bad romance. I did not like it at all.
I'm sure.
He was like, we must both devote ourselves to the Maker. And I'm just like, okay.
Pass.
You know, I play video games to escape the life that was laid out for me. I didn't anticipate embracing my father's dream in a video game of becoming a nun, but here we are.
Yeah, right.
Oh, buddy. Sebastian. Sebastian, chivalrous, absolutely. Vows to protect her. Cool. What about all the people that are gonna die?
Yeah, it's flawed. And Althena basically says that she won't leave, she won't move. Let them come. She's happy to die to be a martyr, basically.
I don't like this line that she then says because it feels very Winky. And I think that it's not effective. She says, besides, I'm the Grand Cleric who would attack me.
Yeah.
And it feels like the writers are like,
They basically put Chekhov's gun in on the table and went, that won't be used.
After the fact.
Yeah.
It was like they finished the game and they were like, oh shit, the gun.
Yeah, we have to say something.
We forgot to put the gun in there.
Yeah, it's something.
It's just not great. And that's it. That is it.
That's the mission.
For this mission.
And then there's a brief conversation you can have with Sebastian like right after. But it's not a questioning beliefs thing. It's just like he tells you how he's worried and he wishes she would leave. And like, that's it. Like it's not like if you click on him when you're still in the Chantry, you get a tiny cutscene. it's unimportant.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
Fan mail.
Yes. We have more words from our good friend Callie.
It's time for our podcast within a podcast, hosted by Callie. You may know them from certain point of views Discord, where they often share their post Reignite fan cast, and we read it here.
It's true. We either read it here or play the audio here.
Welcome to our podcast within a podcast.
Yeah.
That isn't even our podcast within our podcast. It's someone else's podcast within our podcast. Callie, we're just teasing you.
We have a podcast within our podcast. It was the murder mystery did a while back.
Yes.
That was the podcast within a podcast.
Also, I guess you can argue that Fandom Corner is kind of a podcast within a podcast.
Which would make, if we did a Fandom Corner on one of the murder mystery episodes, which I think we did a fake one at one point, it's a podcast within a podcast within a podcast.
It'll be fine.
Yes.
Anyway, Matt, do you want me to read this or would you like to?
I mean, you know the answer to that.
I'd just like to give you the option. Okay, here is our note from Callie. As noted a while ago, for me, Isabella did not return. So this is all responses to the episode itself and some rambling about the recent pondering that Isabella reminded me about. No rest for the wicked. Sounds like I didn't miss much, though. I also have a particular disdain for slavers, so I have a pretty good idea of how that decision would have gone. Something I was recently thinking about that Isabella and her absence in my game reminded me of. I often put as much effort as I can into things, so that if something does not go well, it is harder to blame myself. If I had tried harder to connect with Isabella, we know, because this is a game, that it would have made a difference and I would not have lost her. In life, we can never be sure. But I think the maximum possible effort impulse is a bad strategy for connecting with people, and not only because it probably appears desperate and needy, because the other half of whether it works out is up to the other person, and no amount of effort from only one side will be enough. So making far more effort than someone else is willing to would be a waste of energy, and if it does not go well, even trying a little more than the other person is enough to make it hard to blame oneself. Often continuing to strengthen a relationship requires that someone makes a bit more effort, but I think it is better if those imbalances are not a large percentage and temporary, and that it is not always the same person doing it. In case anyone out there feels regretful about someone you tried and failed to hold on to, you did your part. You tried. It was not your fault. It was them who did not hold on to you. It's very deep, Callie.
It is. And I agree with that. Like, I think...
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, I think friendships. It was funny. I was having the same conversation with friends yesterday. We went out for lunch because a friend of mine ran the Brooklyn Half Marathon, and to celebrate, she just wanted margaritas at all costs, which is
nice.
Fair. And we were talking about friendships and adult friendships. We were talking about, like, I have a friend who's straight friends don't understand how she can just hang out with one half of a married couple or even a whole married couple and hang out with people of the opposite gender. It's like, they must be straight, right? There's no way they're queer, because queer people don't think about that shit ever, because it doesn't matter. And so anyway, it also got us talking about long-term friendships, and like, there are some long-term friendships where you go a huge distance without talking to people and they just exist. I think of one of my closest friends, Matt. Like, sometimes we talk monthly, sometimes we talk every 6 months, sometimes we talk every other week. Like, it depends. Or I think about you, like, even when you were still here in Brooklyn, we saw each other a couple times a year, maybe, like, yeah. Especially at our busiest. But whenever we talked, it was, you know, I mean, obviously we mostly talked during the podcast, which changed the dynamic a bit. But like, even when we talked, it was like every once in a while, and it was like nothing changed. No time had passed.
You and I, this could be a side effect of neurodivergence. You and I do not experience friendship degradation with each other. Like, we could put a hiatus on the podcast, go 6 months without talking, and come back and just catch up on everything we missed about each other, and then be like, okay, cool, and we're back.
Yeah.
Because we both know that life happens to each other. We both know, like, what it's like to have to disappear for 6 months. Like, we get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very common in neurodivergence, in queer people. Like, people have to disappear off the face of the earth, and you get it.
there's also a level of adulthood. I mean, so we have a mutual friend, Anastasia, who currently lives outside of Seattle. And like on my drive home from my mother's on Mother's Day, I decided to call her to wish her a happy Mother's Day. And also because I hadn't spoken to her in a
You're
while.
a better friend than me. I forgot to do that. I only spoke to my own mother and no one else.
I mean, I know a lot of other mothers. I didn't call any of them. So, you know, it's, you do what you can when your brain allows. But it was that exact conversation. We picked up where we left off, how her kid was doing, how life is going, like all of that stuff. And I think there are other friendships that I know I have and have had that required more of that maintenance, that those people just bailed when they didn't have to do any more work. And I stopped reaching out because I was doing all the work. And I fully admit that sometimes I'm that friend. The reason I'm still friends with my buddy Mike Soma is because he reaches out every 6 months and goes, "Hey, are you still alive?" Because I am bad at that. And so like,
that's a name I haven't thought about in a long time.
Yeah. And so like it's one of those things that like sometimes that's how it goes. And I don't fault the friends who've fallen out. There are friend groups that I've fallen out of, that like friends that I adored that I just don't talk to anymore. I mean, you know, these are a lot. Frankie and I have a history, so we have a lot of mutual friends, but like Steve, I hadn't spoken to Steve until my dad died. And then I called Steve to tell him, because he knew my dad, because we used to record at the house. And he doesn't live in New York anymore. And I didn't know that because we hadn't spoken in years, right? Like, I think that just happens with friendships, and you kind of settle into it. You try and reach out. I used to be much closer with my buddy John Sanders. We're still close. We still talk. He showed up for me when my dad died. But, like, then we went back to not talking but once a year. And, like, that's just how it goes. Like, friend groups shift. People shift. And I think that Callie makes a really good point, ultimately, that, like, you put in as much work as you can, and if that's not enough for the other person, that is totally valid for them, but also then you don't owe them anything, right? Like you're allowed to let that go. And sometimes it's hard. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean it's difficult. There are friendships that have vanished overnight where people stop talking to me, and I still to this day sometimes fret and wonder why, like what happened. And so like
what a mood.
It just, but you can't hold yourself accountable for that. It's not your fault. And even if it is your fault, if they don't want to communicate what you did wrong, they're entitled to disappear and disconnect, but then you're entitled to also let them go.
Closure.
Correct. But on that other hand, you also don't owe them to continue to worry and wonder why. Like you can let it go, which is easier said than done.
Absolutely. And to your point, I have the same situation. My darling friend Amberly, who is living still in the States. I am trying to pull her here to Northern Ireland along with everybody else that I love, Matt and Sarah included. But I reached out to Amberly recently. I was like, I didn't know that you deleted your Facebook. I keep trying to send you memes and you're not there. So we were like, okay, how can we maintain our like low level contact?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really take much for me to be like, oh yeah, friend. Like you send me a meme now and then. I'm like, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah.
And Amberly and I like found a system that worked. And also we realized that we were both more active on WhatsApp than we were on other messengers. So we talk on WhatsApp more regularly now because we took a minute to figure out what worked for us.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing.
Keep that friendship going.
That's another thing is like I didn't delete it, but I stopped using my Facebook like 4 or 5 years ago, and tons of friendships that I had were reliant on checking in that platform that disappeared. I used to be a big part of the burlesque community. I went to Tasselmania 8 yesterday, which is the yearly burlesque show that's mashed up with wrestling that I go to every year. And like some of those friends I only see at that event. And like I say I'll stay in touch and we should hang out and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't happen. And so, but they still are just as happy to see me, check in, what's going on. But like I used to check in with them more when I had Facebook because we could comment on each other's posts, and I just don't do that anymore. I reunited with a performer, Velvet Kensington, who I haven't thought about in many years. She was there in the audience. We connected, chatted. Turns out I still have her phone number. So I texted her last night. I was like, we should get coffee. Like, not every friendship is repairable. Not every friendship can you return to. But it is nice that there are some communities that I've walked through that when I go back to them, there is still kindness to be found there, and that people don't take the time and distance as like, why aren't you around? They just go, oh, I'm so glad to see you, which I'm grateful for, and isn't always the case, which is also reasonable. But I am lucky that I can walk in these circles and still have some connection.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you remember Vex Louise?
Nope. Sorry, I don't. Not even a
Truly,
little.
okay. They used to attend burlesque at the same
Okay.
time as us.
Okay.
And I've been Facebook friends with them for ages. Never actually talked to them.
Uh-huh.
Went through our your C friendship on Facebook and saw 2 posts shared between us. One was about a kitten that I shared because they posted about being sad about something, and the other was a horrifying cranberry sauce monstrosity. I have no idea why I shared this to them, but they appreciated it. But we've been talking a lot more lately, and we had a video call just to sit and enjoy each other's company because we like the same books.
Yeah.
And just because you haven't seen someone in 10 years, maybe they're reading the same book you are. That's a good reason to connect and be like, hey.
Well, that's a good point. The performer Kitty Hawk Boone, who I'm sure you remember, goes by Rachel Music now these days, is making a video game with her company, her troupe, Good Story Guild. And Jen Moonen became friends with her separately, probably around the same time through the burlesque circle, but we randomly reconnected because Sarah ran into Rachel at a podcasting conference and they remembered each other, and that is awesome. And now Rachel's back in my life, and we did a podcast episode with her that will be airing sometime in June, and this new game Cat Secretary, where you play as a cat who is hired as a secretary.
Sold.
That during the day
you to my wish list now.
You play as a cat that during the day you work for your corporate overlords and do menial tasks around the office, and then at night you try to take down this AI first company by yourself by screwing stuff up and messing up their plans.
Sounds like my life story.
Yeah, you should definitely wish list Cat Secretary.
Doing it now.
But again, timey-wimey, and the minute we were on the call, Rachel and I just started goofing like no time had passed. And that stuff is heartening. Not every relationship can be that. But if you can find those relationships in your life, I think they will feed you in a way that others may not.
Yeah. Anyway, friendship is great.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm
Friendship
glad you're
is
my
magic.
friend, Matt Storm.
Yeah, you're all right.
Say something nice to me. I demand it.
Fine. You're one of my best friends and I love you.
That's right. I love you too.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's move on. Some other notes from Callie. We have on the epilogue. Oh, more sweetness. You have said some very sweet things before, but even if it was all half joking, quote, Callie is perfect and wonderful and we love them very deeply, is the thing that finally forced me to realize that, oh, you're not just being nice. We're kind of fans of each other. Yes, we are, Callie.
Yes. Parasocialism at its best.
We are very earnest people.
Yeah.
We don't lie. If we think someone is a joy, we say it.
Yes, it's true.
And Callie says, love you too, my favorite semi-parasocial podcast pals.
Yes.
Okay, good point made that maybe Aveline could have earned full loyalty from the guards. Gross, but makes sense. I'm sorry for showing off my emotional stability with respect to my important relationships. I will try to show more insecurity to make up for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all we ask. Seriously.
Yeah, be unstable like the rest of us.
God.
But really, most of the ways I MMS just happen to not be the things the game gives me reason to mention. Also, I am insecure about complaining too much and reaching the limits of what people are willing to listen to and making them feel unappreciated when they cannot always make me feel better. Actually, I am quite good at choosing to share openly despite that, but this fact somewhat undermines the ironic humor I was going for. For character-focused high fantasy, I highly recommend the 5th season and its sequels. They are truly masterpieces. Just be aware, it is heavy stuff. Make sure you are in the right mood for it, and maybe check its doesthedogdie.com page. I think 5th season is N.K. Jemisin? Is that right?
I don't know. You're asking the non-book person to know who an author is? I think so. That sounds right.
I'm gonna double check. The 5th season is by N.K. Jemisin.
Okay. Great.
Also author of The City We Became.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you as always, Callie, for writing in. We appreciate it. We appreciate you. We say things both jokingly and sincerely. It's your job to figure out which is which. Good luck. Callie did also ask after this post if we could talk about our favorite and least favorite, or maybe most boring companion quests. Since we've finished all of the companion quests, there are none after this. We're basically making a beeline through side quests, DLC, and then the final mission. So Frankie and I are going to share our favorites first and then our least favorites. Frankie, do you want to go first with your favorite?
Yeah, my favorite is probably Varric's questline, because I think it shows a lot of complication of family. I think we learn a lot about why he's a surface dwarf. I think we learn a lot about him as a person. I think it's very revealing about who he is as an unreliable narrator. I just think that his entire through line is very narratively satisfying.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this quest line is very clearly built as like Varric is one of the main characters. He is the least optional character in the game as far as tied to the main story, and his companion quest reflects it. And I think the further we get out from who's essential to the plot, the worse their quests get. But I agree. I think Varric's is one of the better ones, though not my favorite, but it's definitely up there.
I agree.
My favorite, I think, turn the corner this playthrough is Meryl's companion quest. I like Meryl as a character because she is hard to like. Personality-wise, she's very easy to like. Sweet, kind, thoughtful, but like her wants, her needs, what she likes, what she believes in makes it much harder. And honestly, I think a game making you force down a complicated friendship like that or non-friendship is really interesting. I think it's, same for Fenris, same for a bunch of characters in your stable. But I think Meryl's, especially the way it ends, that even seeing the signs is still devastated. There's no happy ending to her quest. Like, there are two bad endings to her quest, basically. One worse than the other, obviously, but like there's no good outcome. And so I really appreciate that. I think I like this kind of complex writing. I think there's a lot of this in Andromeda, which is why I latched onto the characters in Andromeda, because a lot of them are easy to be leery about. I know we talked about it with PB a bunch and how she's either really easy to like or really easy to not like, depending on where you land. And
Same
I think
with Liam.
Yeah, Liam as well. And so I think Meryl's another one of those characters. And so I really appreciated her quest line.
Yeah. I think for me, the thing that makes Meryl difficult to enjoy is there's kind of a willful ignorance about her.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kind of moves through life thinking everything is going to work out in the end.
Yeah.
Which, there's nothing wrong with optimism. But you need to also have a level of practicality.
Mm-hmm.
You can hope for the best, but you should also plan for the worst. You should acknowledge that a worst exists.
Yeah.
And I feel like she just doesn't.
And I get that. And I think for me, I don't think it's the one I enjoyed most. I think it's my favorite, which can be different. And so I think that's part of it too.
What about least favorite / most boring?
So this was tough. There are some obvious choices, but I think ultimately I dislike Aveline's the most. I think part of the problem is it's not necessarily the most boring, but it is the most rote. I mean, I remember us talking about when we're trying to get her connected with Donick, just running from area to area. Well, actually, that was pretty boring. But running from area to area, just fighting enemies and then getting a tiny cutscene and then fighting enemies and then getting a tiny cutscene. Instead of just making it one cutscene and saving us the time and the running around, I think Aveline as a character also hurts it. I think it's going to be very common for folks' least favorite or most boring to be the character they like the least. And I like Aveline the least. I think I like her less than Sebastian, which is saying something, but I don't know. I think a lot of her missions are cheesy in a bad way. I think a lot of the disappointments we have with her as a character are valid. And I think that a lot of the writing for her is pretty lazy. Like, it's good to have a conflict character who is basically the head of the police force that's also your friend. I think it adds to a lot of complicated conversations. However, as we discovered with like the murder mystery stuff and some of the other things, we just don't get the satisfaction or the closure for the quest line that I would want to make it feel complete. And so I think ultimately it's why I like it the least.
Yeah, I agree. My least favorite is Sebastian, because I've talked about, I don't think he adds anything helpful to the game at all. I don't think he brings anything to it to make it more fun. He's just not exciting to me. You mentioned earlier that there is a companion character that we work with for one of the DLCs. If she had stuck around, if she had been someone that we could interact with, that would have been great. Because even if I don't agree with every single thing that she says and does, even if we are like diametrically opposed in viewpoints, which I'm not saying that we definitely are, but like, I don't know, she's just more compelling.
Yes. And I mean, part of that is the voice actress who plays her, and we'll get to that. But like, beyond the great voice acting, she's compelling for other reasons as well.
Yeah. Like, I wasn't even thinking about the voice acting. I was thinking about narrative.
Yeah.
Like, she has motivations that are so very clear and different from what we're used to. And I feel like Sebastian's motivation is, well, should I go back and claim my rightful place as king of this nation? Or should I stay and be a good little priest like I was supposed to and let a terrible person take over my kingdom?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, check your privilege, fat cat.
Yeah, basically.
It just makes me angry. I just don't like him all that much.
I get it, and I agree that there's not much to him, and he's definitely at the bottom of the list for me as well. Yeah. But I think
at least Aveline makes me feel something,
and that's
it's hatred. But...
and that's valid. But I think Eveline's worse because, like, you can write Sebastian off as an afterthought and not even think about it. Aveline is a core part of this game from the beginning of the game, and they don't do enough with her, which I think is a greater crime, personally.
Yeah. Like, she could have been a great avenue for criticism.
Yeah. Anyway, they both stink is at the end of the day.
They're both bad.
Yes, correct. They deserve each other.
Let's talk about Fandom Corner. Fandom Corner.
Okay.
I can't think of any words that rhyme with corner.
Horner? Yeah.
Anyway. So, my Fandom Corner is actually not something that is new. It is something that is very old.
Yeah, you are not allowed to say. You are not allowed to say how old this movie is. You are not allowed. I don't want to know how many years have passed.
Make you feel old?
Yes.
So, I don't think that... Did I talk about on the show when I went to see the musical?
I don't think so, but I don't remember. We've been doing this for 6 years or longer, so how the hell do I know?
Well, if I talked about it, too bad. You're going to hear about it again. So, I had a really rough day recently. I am in crunch time for my thesis. My submission is actually this coming week from when we record. By the time you hear this, I will have submitted my thesis. I am on my way to becoming a doctor. That being said, I had a really hard day. I was very tired and sad, and I needed something to watch, but I have no, like, TV shows in my queue. Like, all the shows that I watch are currently off season. I didn't know what to do, and then I remembered, A Knight's Tale exists. So I put on A Knight's Tale, which is one of my comfort movies. Most people cite The Mummy as their queer awakening, as their, like, bi-awakening. For me, it's A Knight's Tale. Shannon Sossamon and Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Come on. And also Alan Tudyk.
Paul Bettany.
I can't remember. Paul Bettany. What is the actor's name who played Roland? He was also
Mark Addy.
Game of Thrones. Yeah. And the actress who played Kate, the blacksmith. Whoa. There's just so many beautiful people in this movie. Even the actor who played Adamar, he was evil and gorgeous.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're terrible, but I would also kiss you a lot.
Yeah.
I would tell you to shut up every time you opened your mouth. Awful person. But last year, there was a run where they had done a musical based on this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so gay.
Of course.
It was amazing. It was like they reached into my heart and my brain and they pulled out the most perfect musical to ever exist in the world. It's a jukebox musical. I don't know how people feel about that. I like it okay. I think it's fine. Especially when you consider the fact that one of the most defining features of A Knight's Tale is the anachronistic soundtrack. Like, it relied on a lot of modern day music to set the tone. So I think it being a jukebox musical made a lot of sense. And a lot of songs from the original soundtrack made it into the show. And it was amazing. The actress who played Kate the Blacksmith did a rendition of I'm Every Woman. And at the end, I was like, I'm already gay. I don't know how I can become gayer. Like, it was incredible. The show needs to go to Broadway. It needs to be on the West End. I need to see it again. I saw it in Manchester, and it was the best decision of my life. I fucking loved it. And I love A Knight's Tale. It doesn't always hold up, like, because it's been that long since it was initially made. But it's so comforting and good, and there are so many good lines. Like, well, the Pope may be French, but Jesus was English. No, he wasn't, Roland.
Yeah, correct. He was very much not.
And I love this movie so much. If you've never seen A Knight's Tale, I implore you to find it, watch it. Be sad about how we have lost one of the greatest actors to have ever lived. Heath Ledger was incredible in it. God, I have so many feelings. And also in the production, in the stage production, the actor who played Watt was non-binary.
Mm-hmm.
And they made the character non-binary as well.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure if they did that because the actor was non-binary or it just lined up that way. But it was cool. It was great. It was fantastic. The actor who played Chaucer was incredibly hot. So, like, It was very good. I was like living my best pansexual life. I was like, everyone in this play is hot. Like, everyone's really talented. The actress who played Jocelyn had previously been in Six.
Oh, cool.
And, like, she was incredible. They updated the narrative to be cleaner, to make a lot more sense, to give Jocelyn a bit more feminist strength. They cut a female character, but in doing so, like, they just made her stronger and made her, like, motivation stronger. Because in the movie, there's, like, this thing that breaks them up, and the thing that breaks them up is stupid. In the play, the thing that breaks them up is different and makes more sense. So, that is my fandom corner. Please go watch my comfort movie.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it in a minute, but I love A Knight's Tale. I think it's a great film, and I think
So good.
the thing about comfort movies is, like, they're gonna be flawed, especially depending on when they were made and what they were about. Sarah and I recently rewatched The Devil Wears Prada, which is one of
me
my
too.
comfort movies, because today, actually, after we record, we're going to see the sequel. We haven't seen it yet, and
Hell yeah.
and watching it, there are some fat jokes, some other jokes that just don't land as well, but the broad narrative is still incredibly good. The characters are funny. The movie's funny. Like, it's well made. Like, it doesn't all age perfectly, but I still enjoyed it a lot, and I'm very excited to watch the sequel. Good or bad or indifferent, I like these characters and their interactions, and so I'm excited to see more of that. The fact that Meryl Streep is still doing this so many years later and still a badass at it is incredible.
Looks basically exactly the same.
Same, yeah, correct.
I have one other comment about my recent rewatch of A Knight's Tale. My roommate, Shihaley, is from India, and she just hasn't experienced a lot of Western pop culture,
Mm-hmm.
and she has never seen A Knight's Tale. So I put on this movie for me to watch, and she's like nearby doing her own thing. And in the very first like 10 minutes of the movie, Roland says to William Thatcher, "What's your name, William? It's not Sir William. It's not Lord William." And as Roland's doing this speech, Haley is like, "You know his name. You literally just said it." And I'm like, Haley, stop. Stop. You're ruining the moment.
That's funny.
Anyway, please tell us about your fandom corner.
So, Fandom Corner, I every so often get to talk about a game before it's out. And this episode will be out before. This episode will be out after embargo, so I can talk about it now, and it'll come out after the embargo lifts. But I am currently playing for review, and it'll be my written review for the Patreon for Fun and Games this month. Coffee Talk Tokyo, which is the new game in the Coffee Talk series. And I love it. It's like putting on a warm sweater, like plays has minor mechanical differences and setting and character differences like every entry has had, but otherwise plays, sounds, and feels exactly like I remember. Andrew Jeremy's soundtrack is both forgettable and memorable at the same time, in the sense that he does that brilliant coffee shop, easygoing lo-fi tunes that all kind of bleed together in a very relaxing, delightful way. I'm not going to get too deep into the narrative of the game, but if you like the Coffee Talk games, you'll like this game. If you've never played a Coffee Talk game, this is a new setting, a new barista. The repeat characters they don't make a big deal of, so you could start with this game. It's a whole separate experience. As someone who's played all the Coffee Talk games, as is tradition, every time a new character enters the coffee shop, I become the Squidward meme and go, "Oh no, they're hot." But it's great. I'm really loving it. I'm so glad to return to this world. If they made one of these games every 3 to 4 years and it was just a different location, like one of the characters mentions that they're from London, and London has come up a couple times, which makes me wonder if they'll do Coffee Talk London. Like they could just do a Coffee Talk in a different city every time with these fantasy characters, and I'd be all in. Making the coffee is fun, though it is frustrating to play a game pre-release. When I played Coffee Talk 1, it was after it had been out for a while. I got a review code for Coffee Talk 2, so I experienced this. And now with Tokyo, when you play a game that you might want a walkthrough for before it's released, there are no walkthroughs for it. So when you screw up a coffee order and have to redo it 8 times because you want to get it right and you can't figure out the right combination, it's frustrating, but it's a frustration I'm putting on myself. It is not the game's fault. The game is intended for you, if you screw up, to just keep moving. The story still happens. If you don't get the right coffee order for every character, you just don't see some of the bonus and secret ending stuff. But you still see the main arc of the narrative. So there's no reason to do what I'm doing of redoing the coffee order over and over again if you run out of trashing options, because you can only trash an order 5 times, reloading your save. That is not how this game is intended to be played. And so this is not a fault of a game. It's a fault of my neurodivergence. But
it's just my anxiety.
But that said, it's still been fun. I like the new characters. There are more unique fantasy races, some very specific to Japan. Like there's a Kappa that you interact with, which is awesome. Like I just love how they reinvent this kind of fantasy world of the near future with this nighttime coffee shop. Also, again, as someone who doesn't drink anymore, the idea of a coffee shop that's only open at night, that's like a bar but for coffee and tea instead, like that's my dream. I want one of those in New York so I can do that, because that's my vibe. So yeah, Coffee Talk Tokyo comes out on May 21st. I'm hoping to have my review out by then. Embargo will be before that, so you'll start to see previews and reviews. Yeah, so in fact, when does this episode release? So on the 21st. So this episode is out. If you're listening to this the day it came out, Coffee Talk Tokyo is available now. Go buy it. I highly recommend it. Again, if you've never played a visual novel or any kind of sim game, this is a good first one. but also if you've played other visual novels, this is a solid entry in a solid franchise. That's really just a great cozy vibe. I don't typically love cozy games. I try and play some of them. Some hit better than others. There's something about the music, the writing. It's the writing. I mean, these characters are so well written. Also, I think I talked about this in an article I wrote many years ago about small talk, is how I hate real life small talk. It drives me bonkers. But what I do love is in a position of power small talk, like when I used to host burlesque shows, because then there's an entertainment value to it. There's a power dynamic to it that makes it fun. That in a way, when I'm just chatting with someone that's a coworker that I don't really know that well, asking how their weekend was, it just kind of like is nails on a chalkboard. And Coffee Talk Tokyo masterfully continues what the tradition of these games have done, which is generate small talk with regulars at a location or newcomers at a location that feels inviting and warm and interesting. So if you like anything that I just said, you should definitely go play Coffee Talk Tokyo today or buy the whole series because they're all great.
I tried Coffee Talk, but at the time that I tried it was peak thesis time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are reading constantly all the time, it's very hard to enjoy a game that is more reading. But when I finish my thesis and I have time to read and not feel like this should be in my thesis, I will try it again and hopefully enjoy it.
Yes.
Because I love Monster Prom.
Yeah.
Like, very deeply. So I think I would enjoy Coffee Talk.
All right. So anyway, that's our fandom corner. Moving on to what we're doing next. This season's wrapping up. Next, we are going to just basically do whatever side quests and miscellaneous quests are left. Then after that, so that's for the next episode, but the rundown for the rest of the season is side quests, then the DLC Mark of the Assassin, then the DLC Legacy, then the final mission, and then closing the season with our typical post-mortem episode where we talk about how we feel about the game after playing it this time versus previous times. Do we love it more? Do we love it less? What did we not did and didn't love? Questions like, what are your favorite companion quests, are things that are often answered in that episode. If you have specific questions of favorites that you'd like us to answer, favorite character, favorite romance, favorite mission, stuff like that, please submit them in the Discord. We'll keep track of that. But yeah, so for the next episode, just go clean up all your side quests, and we'll talk about the ones that have the biggest impact. There aren't a ton left, but there are a few worth discussing, but mostly we'll talk about, I think that conversation in 2 weeks will be broadly about the side quests in this game and what we think of them, which we've teased a bit about how we feel about how they handled side quests, but more on that in the next episode.
If you like what you heard here, you can follow us on social media at ReignitePod on Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. If you do send us an email with questions that you would like us to address during the postmortem, I request that you put postmortem in the subject line so we can keep track of them and have a nice list for when we eventually do that episode. You can also find Matt and I on Blue Sky as DJ Stormageddon and Frankie B. Writes.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. If it's your first episode, as always, I'll say why. But thanks for being here as well. And please sub to the podcast. Ratings and reviews are really helpful. It's the free way you can help every podcast that you listen to. A rating and a review goes a long way. Some platforms only allow ratings. Some allow both, but again, it allows us to boost ourselves up in the algorithm and get through the noise so more people can listen to this ridiculous little show that we do.
Don't forget, we're members of the Certain Point of View Network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website. Please come join the conversation. We'd love to see you there.
Yep. If you want to submit questions, the Discord's a great place as well. Or if you just want to chat about games, books, comics, music, basically any nerdy interest, we would love to have you there and chat. As for personal plugs, right now the big thing for me to plug is Fun and Games. Actually, big news. If you're in the New York area, June 14th. It's a Sunday at 2:30. Jen and I are doing a live version of Fun and Games. We haven't done one in a while, and we're really excited. There is a bar in Brooklyn called Wonderville. It only houses independent arcade games, so not mass market ones, but like literally there's only a couple of these in the world, indie arcade games, which is awesome. And so we're going to be interviewing the owners of Wonderville about creating a bar like this, a gamer space for folks to hang out, and also about the indie arcade scene, as they also do build and help facilitate arcade games as well. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, if you're in the New York area, please come through. It is June 14th at 2:30 at Wonderville in Bushwick, Brooklyn. So please come through.
As for me, I am finishing my thesis as of listening to this episode. I will have submitted my thesis, and I'm on my way to becoming a doctor. So all of my projects are like floating on the edges of my brain. So if you've heard me talk about it in the past, it's out there somewhere being worked on, sort of. But my big thing is that you should follow Romance Society Books on Instagram, so that way you will know when we set up our Kickstarter, because my best friend and I are hoping to set up a romance bookstore here in the town where we live. Community forward, just a safe place for people to get romance books and read them and have other community events. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, if you think I have been a good writer boy and you would like to reward me with a coffee, you know where to find my PayPal. That's on my website, frankiebwrites.com.
We'd like to thank Case Aiken for developing some awesome t-shirts that you can buy over at certainpov.com or on the Certain POV Teespring. Also, thank you as always, Case, for designing each episode's individual show art.
We'd like to thank Miracle of Sound for our theme music. If you've been jamming along, then you should head over to miracleofsound.rocks and check out Gavin Dunn's other music and merch.
Thank you to Red Spinks for designing our Dragon Age inspired logo. If you want to see more of his work, you can go to Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
And lastly, we'd like to thank you for listening. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, A.K. Stormageddon. And remember, all Templars are bastards.
Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this fight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Hawk, 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 Hawk,
Welcome to No Small Games, the indie gaming recap and review podcast. I'm Kate, also known as Cater Blossom.
And I'm Emily. You might also know me online as The Specific Egg.
And we met streaming and playing video games on Twitch.
At No Small Games, we combine our favorite genres to experience everything the indie game world has to offer and share it with all of you. We believe there are no small games, only small game studios.
Each episode, we'll choose one indie game that we each played separately and discuss our playthrough experience together.
The good, the bad, and our most memorable moments. We'll follow our recap with a review and announcement of which indie game will be featured on our next episode.
We invite you to play each game along with us and would love to hear from you about your playthrough experience.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, Emily.
I hope that No Small Games brings everyone some big fun.
CPOV.
CertainPOV.com.